Okay, there we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. This is Fort Thomas, Kentucky, the amphitheater. We've got the Kentucky Symphony Orchestra. They're doing the music of John Williams tonight. Sorry. Started the stream and then had an issue, so had to go out. But we're back in. We're ready to go. 6th year for the Kentucky Symphony to be playing
Ladies
here.
and gentlemen, please welcome back to the stage KSO Music Director James Cassidy with the Kentucky Symphony Orchestra.
Hey, Cindy Petit, welcome in. This is going to be fun. I want to stream as much of it as I can, and I'm just holding the phone. Do not hit my gimbal. Came from another show. Cindy, thanks for being here. Share it out if you would. Thanks, Cindy. I don't know. This was spur of the moment, so I didn't let anybody know that this was going on. This is the Kentucky Symphony Orchestra. John Williams music tonight. The Kentucky Symphony Orchestra live from Fort Thomas Tower Park.
That was from a John Wayne film back in 1971 called The Cowboys. John, got a bunch of young kids together and taught them how to be, cowboys and, rope cattle and go on a cattle drive and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, John Williams has been started out as a jazz pianist.
These are free concerts.
And he had his own band. His father was a jazz drummer who was part of the Raymond Scott Quintet and played for Columbia Artist Pictures and things like that. So he was already in the whole thing. He got drafted in 1952 and went into the Air Force, where he was not put on a plane or manning, servicing planes or anything like that. They put him to work arranging and leading some of the Air Force bands. And he got out and he went to Juilliard to study piano. And then he came back to LA area and really just got into the whole scene. He was writing episode music for Gilligan's Island in the mid-60s. And then he got the opportunity to get with producer and director Irwin Allen and some of the television shows that he was doing. And so he wrote the themes to Lost in Space, Time Tunnel, and Land of Giants. Anybody remember those? All right. There's a few of us still out there. Wow. Anyway, so we thought we would do this little television theme for you, or medley for you, of those particular shows that John wrote the themes for. And thanks to our arranger, Terry LeBolt. Believe he might be here. I don't know. Might be too hot for him. But anyway, so this is Terry's arrangement of John's TV themes from the 60s.
Here again, these are music of John Williams. Today is his birthday, actually. There we go.
Few people really know that John Williams won his first Oscar, not for the things that you know exactly, but for adapting a musical, 1964 musical, to film. And what he did is he got his first Oscar for Fiddler on the Roof. So if you see the movie Fiddler on the Roof, John Williams did the music direction for that. Anyway, so we created a little medley, and it happens to feature our wonderful concert mistress, Manami White, and she's been concert master of the KSO for the last 21 seasons, and we certainly appreciate all her loyalty and good work and amazing talents, and so we thought we'd feature her on this little thing. Now, I'd be remiss if I did not point out that between July 23rd and the 27th, our friends over at the Cincinnati Opera are actually staging this at Music Hall. And so make sure that you get a chance to get over there and hear all these wonderful tunes, many that you know. And it's the first time they've done a musical for the opera in many decades. And so this one ought to be spectacular. And anyway, so check out our buddies, 23rd to the 27th at Music Hall. And this is fragments, what is it called? Excerpts. There we go. From Fiddler on the Roof.
Kentucky Symphony Orchestra, live from Fort Thomas, Kentucky, in Tower Park at the amphitheater. These are free concerts. They do 3 shows a year. 1 in July, 2 in August. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome. This is the Kentucky Symphony Orchestra. Kentucky Symphony Orchestra doing the music of John Williams tonight from Tower Park, Kentucky, or Tower Park in Fort Thomas,
so,
Kentucky.
You know, everything was cool growing up. You know, I was down in Florida. You know, I'd get together with a bunch of people. We'd go out to the beach, New Smyrna Beach, something like that, and you know, we used to think those waves breaking way out there were really cool. So we would go out past where the waves are breaking, and not realizing that the current is taking you up the coast. You know, so you know, we had like a mile and a half walk or something like that by the time we got back to where everybody else was. But when we were out there, you know, we thought, hey, this is just really cool. You know, I mean, because, you know, we're not getting hit by the waves, but we're just out here, and the fish are swimming around. Some of them are pretty big, and they're you know, brushing up against us and all this kind of stuff. And then a couple of years later, 1975 comes along, and I go see this movie. And then a few years after that, I was down in Miami Beach, and it was nights, it was full moon on the water, you know, and I'm thinking, hey, it'd be great for a nighttime swim. So dash out into the waves, and I'm about waist deep, and I'm going, oh boy, I've heard this before, you know? So anyway, John Williams really, you know, he met up with Steven Spielberg on the Sugar Land Express the year before, and then he penned what is probably the most emotional, you know, film score in terms of its, graphic effect on you, because you can watch that shark eat a bunch of people with no sound, but the minute the soundtrack comes on, it's like very ominous, foreboding, and it really just sets the drama for the whole thing. Anyway, so this is 2 minutes from Jaws.
Yeah, Mom. Family. And then we'll go to the pool the next day. My mom watched it when she was too, and she's been scared to go ever since.
Hey, Jordan, welcome in. All right, Jordan, welcome in. Anybody else that's in here watching? We've got the Kentucky Symphony Orchestra. They're doing the music of John Williams tonight. This is John Williams' birthday.
Something a little closer to our era here that we're talking about today. In 2002, he teamed up with Steven Spielberg again. He actually teamed up with Steven for 21 films. But he did this thing called Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks. About a con man, basically, that conned everybody, was slick, with everybody, and they just couldn't catch him. And he wound up being finally caught, and then he worked for the FBI after serving some time, and on forgeries and different things to be able to catch people like him. But anyway, this also gave John an idea of, because it was back in the '60s when this con man was around, started, and he thought, well, geez, what was going on musically at the time? Modern jazz, him being a jazz pianist too, he thought of Dave Brubeck, Paul Desmond, and so had the idea of incorporating that kind of feel and sound into his film score. And so we benefit from that because we get to feature one of Cincinnati's great jazz musicians and top saxophonist, Rick Van Meter, who was the director of the jazz program at CCM for decades, and now he's just touring the world with his wonderful wife Anna, and she's an artist, and he's playing saxophone around the world. And fortunately for us, he's here in town this evening, so we got to have him come out. So we're going to feature Rick Van Meter on this. So please welcome, where is he? Rick Van Meter. Here he comes from the other side. The title of this is Escapades from Catch Me If You Can.
CCM is the Cincinnati Conservatory of Music at the University of Cincinnati.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Wait, which one?
Excuse me. Music from John Williams from Catch Me If You Can. Hey Jason, welcome in. we go, Jason. Welcome in. This is the Kentucky Symphony Orchestra.
Rick Van Mater.
These are free concerts. They play in Tower Park, Fort Thomas, Kentucky, 3 times a year. One in July, 2 in August. Tonight happens to be the music of John Williams.
I don't think that this really needs any introduction.
I wonder where we're going with this. Put in chat, where do you think we're going? Before they start. No introduction. right. Mark Miracles, Jason. This is the Kentucky Symphony Orchestra. These are free concerts they do out in the parks and hosted by our community here in Fort Thomas, Kentucky. We're in Tower Park, the old historical army post. I do not have my gimbal with me or any of my streaming stuff. I just grabbed my phone and decided to go live. So sorry about any shakiness. Got a beautiful night here. They actually got rained out last night when they would play at another location, which is our original home over in DeVue Park in Covington, Kentucky. So they do Saturday nights there and then Sunday here in Tower Park. Last night was rained out due to storms. And now, here we go. There again, these are free concerts. Bring your lawn chair. I don't even have a lawn chair. I'm just sitting in the grass. Bring a lawn chair, cooler. They've got food trucks, beer and such available, but bring your coolers, bring your chairs, sit back and relax and enjoy a concert.
The pitch gets with the heat and the humidity, it's a nightmare on instruments. So we do have to recalibrate every once in a while. Anyway, so before we go to intermission, I just want to remind you that please, go online, fill out the survey, maybe make the donation, and also, check out the food trucks and the concessions back there. Angela is the popcorn lady. You can see her back there. We really are crazy, but it's okay. Anyway, John obviously wrote the film score to Spielberg's Jurassic Park, right? Which became a series. Now, we live in an age of the sequel, because there's nothing terribly original happened. So right now you can go see Superman and Jurassic Park in the movies in their 7th or 8th installments, whatever. But John really, I thought, captured the size and the majesty of these herds of just enormous creatures, right? And that we
the Ark is about 35 to 40 minutes from us south on I-75.
Hey, they
35, 40 minutes south.
But I think he really captures that whole reverence to the time period and everything else. So this is his theme from Jurassic Park.
There we go, some Jurassic Park. I believe they are ready to take an intermission. They've been playing for an hour.
We'll see you in about 15 minutes.
Oh,
Ladies and gentlemen, the KSO will return in 15 minutes. Please visit the KSO Concessions kiosk
Hello,
at the top
everybody.
of the hill for popcorn, snacks, cold
Kentucky
drinks,
Symphony
as
Orchestra.
well as area food trucks.
out here in
For a
Tower
printed
Park, Fort
program
Dallas,
and to
Kentucky.
return written surveys for
Thanks for coming in and joining me. I
visit the
literally
volunteers
just grabbed my phone
and the
and
donation
sat
boxes
down and
marked
started.
by
I
the
don't have my
KSO
gimbal or anything else with me.
FedEx.
The
We'll be
battery
back
is
in
getting low.
15 minutes.
But so I'm going to duck out here and we'll try to come back in 15 minutes. So look for that as we get ready for. I imagine we're going to have a lot of Star Wars stuff in that, but I need to get up and move around a little bit. And also, I don't want to run the battery down completely. I'm doing okay for battery right now, but without, I need a break on my hand from just sitting here holding nothing but the phone. So, you guys, thanks very much for coming in. Please share it out. Come back in if you haven't subscribed already. You know the deal. Do me a favor. Hit the like, subscribe. Let people know we're coming back in. Give me 15 minutes and we'll be right back. And I will be starting another stream with that. So, take care and we'll see you all real soon. Thanks for coming in.
I'm just moving it over.